Okay, so moving on to a couple of games that are on console that are going to be brought out to PC now. And I have a little bit of commentary on this as well. I know that you like this because you have kind of championed this in the past, if I remember correctly. Dead Rising 3, which is an Xbox One exclusive. This is a game that is, in fact, published by Microsoft. They put a great deal of money into Capcom, not only to pay for the game, but to fund its development. So that's why it's a Microsoft exclusive game. It's coming out to PC now. So they made that announcement this week. It will be coming soon. I don't think they've said exactly when, but what I think is kind of interesting, and I did want to mention this, I almost was going to mention it with the Borderlands thing. This announcement was also made in parallel with the announcement that they have released drivers for the Xbox One controller for your PC.
Yeah.
So if you have the charge kit, which is just basically a USB wire, all you need is just that wire, plug it into your PC, install those drivers, and you can use your Xbox One controller with your PC games without needing some sort of wireless sensor.
And without a third-party driver. So yeah, I mean, I really don't understand Microsoft's politics. They, for some reason, believe that the PC is not part of their Xbox or console gaming universe. They're two separate products, and they didn't want them to mix. They were very clear about that from back in the days of the first Xbox. And I just don't get it. I really don't understand why you would alienate any of your customers from purchasing a game.
Well, I can tell you why. Because they don't want to drive people away from buying the Xbox.
That's what we keep hearing.
Yes,
but my issue
no.
is...
Hold on. This is a big issue, because I probably lurk through message boards more than you do. There are a lot of PS3 or PlayStation in general fanboys that want this to happen because they want that division that Microsoft is worried about is going to happen. That separation of the fan bases, because the PS3 or PlayStation fanboys, they want to have that game. They still want to play Microsoft games, but they don't want to buy an Xbox because they just have a prejudice against it.
But see, here's the thing. That doesn't hurt Microsoft. This will never hurt Microsoft. If somebody buys Windows versus buying an Xbox console, they're still spending at least $100. You make more from a copy of Windows than you do from a hardware box of console.
But these are separate divisions, so they're looking at the profits specific to the Xbox.
But isn't that
division
just the stupidest thing? I mean,
Windows.
It's like the left hand and the right hand belong to two different people.
But
it's
they have
the same
to run,
company.
But they have to run them like independent entities.
I don't know. I mean, I think that if I was in charge, I'd make it clear that you guys should be working together, because we are one company. And we benefit from selling the software. This is where our money really comes from.
Well, I think that these moves are proving that they're starting to get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because it's not only Dead Rising 3, it's also Fable Anniversary.
Yep.
The game that came out earlier this year, which is a remake with more modern graphics for the original Fable. That's coming out to PC as well. There's no price or date yet on that one, just like with the Dead Rising 3, but it looks like that's what they're doing. They're being a little more conscious of their Microsoft Windows-based gamers.
I think they made a huge mistake when they moved away from gaming on the PC. I think that stagnated the gaming industry enough to allow modern consoles to compete. I think if Microsoft just had half a brain, they would probably still control 90% of all of gaming console and PC combined. So they really did it to themselves. They just stupid decision making that, I don't know, maybe they were trying to milk extra money somehow that is beyond my understanding. But anyway, you know what my dream is. My dream has always been that we had a open console similar to an operating system that's specific just for gaming.
Do you think that what you're envisioning is kind of like one single ecosystem for Xbox and for Windows gaming, where
Well,
it's all the
I'd
same.
like it all. Well, I mean,
It's
right
all
now
the same
they
environment.
really
for
are.
everyone.
The consoles, the PS4 and the Xbox One, are both PCs. They're PCs with a different operating system. My dream has always been a operating system that is specific just for gaming, available to everybody, with, specific hardware so that we don't have any of the technical issues that we run into with the PC. Let people build their own. And I don't care if Microsoft does it, if PlayStation does it, I really don't care who does it. But I think that will pretty much end the console wars, and it'll allow us to focus on one type of operating system, and the hardware will just kind of be standardized. So anybody can build this thing, you can put it together with parts at Fry's Electronics or Amazon or whoever, and you can make it as strong or as weak as you want, and without all of these technical problems that we have with the PC. So that's always been my dream. I was hoping that Steambox would go that direction, but it looks like they are a lot more draconian than I had expected. I thought that they would be a little bit more open to encourage developers and hobbyists to get involved and actually help standardize this thing. But I don't know, it's still too early. Let's see what happens.
Well, with the Steambox, I think I reported this last week that it looks like they're going to be pushing it back because they're having issues with the controllers. So we're not going to be able to see that in reality probably for another year.
Bottom line, I'm just tired of the stagnation. I don't like how there is a console version, a PC version, a Game Boy version. I would rather have one game that is really good, that just works on everything. And, if we have an open console finally, I think that'll just solve all these problems, and we don't have to worry about all of these compatibility issues and
well, I
cross-platform.
certainly would like to see this being discussed a little bit more as they experiment, and just to hear what the pros and cons are coming from their perspective.
Well, from their perspective, bottom line, they make more money if they sell more software. If that Xbox game can work on my PC, they will sell more of it.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is as simple
and
as
I think that the demographics are going to stay more or less the same if that reality comes to fruition, because PC gaming is a complicated process, and it takes a very particular type of technical mind to be able to do
There you
that.
go.
So everybody, the lay people out there aren't going to just suddenly jump into PC gaming. They're going to stick with their consoles because of ease of use.
Exactly.
It's not that easy to do PC gaming.
Exactly. So now, you don't lose anything, though, by making these games available to the PC gamers who know how to run their PC. You don't lose anything.
And I'm kind of getting the feeling that with Phil Spencer, they are starting to see things a little more like you are.
A little less draconian, open the thing up, and let the community start advancing your work. So, I mean, if you open things up, it's amazing what the community can do with just a little bit of leeway. I mean, do you remember what they did with the Kinect when it was released? There were no drivers for the PC. Within a week, the community created drivers, and they started making applications with projectors and the Kinect in order to make like a holodeck almost.
They were doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff with that, and that was very cool.
You just need to open things up, and Microsoft does that every now and then, but sometimes they just kind of make you wonder what they were thinking. So they did that with, for example, in the Xbox era, they introduced XNA. That was amazing. There was so much made from that XNA.
And they could have owned the indie space with that if they had handled it properly.
Correct.
But instead, they squandered the opportunity and allowed an opportunity for Sony to insinuate themselves into that space and take over.
Yeah,
and now people associate Sony with indie. And I've said this in a podcast in the past, that Microsoft initiated this whole indie movement.
Right. The only problem with Microsoft, of course, was they had really restrictive rules regarding release and profit sharing.
Yeah.
They just became a little bit too tight, kind of like what's happening to YouTube now. YouTube, because of their rules and regulation, they're starting to drive people away, and they're not growing anymore. And consequently, all of the other services are slowly growing because people are flocking in that direction, like Twitch, for example. So, anyways, wow, we went on a tangent there. What were we talking about? Oh, Microsoft and Phil Spencer got it, and the
we
joystick.
were talking about Fable and Rising 3 coming out to PC. So let's move on from that.